There are people who are asking the question. I think that it's very clear this will not happen. But there are people who have gotten excited enough, I guess, by the Flyers' free fall into fourth best odds. They look a year from now, and Gavin McKenna is now being viewed as like the next potential generational talent, franchise cornerstone kind of player. 23 points in his last 5 games in the WHL. Seems like an absolutely absurd thing to do. Practically every pundit and scout raves about his game. He will almost certainly be the consensus number 1 pick from the time this draft ends until next draft happens. Is there any chance whatsoever, if you are Danny Briere, that you look at this season, you look at how far away the team is, and they need a number 1C, they need a number 1D, they certainly now need a number 1 goalie. Do you essentially run it back one more year, try to develop these guys as best you can? Maybe it's Torts behind the bench, maybe it's somebody else, and you say, you know what, just based on the cap, right, Bundy? I think you said earlier, they have some cap space this year, but 2026 is really where the cap is. Can you see any scenario where Danny says, just going to run it back, a couple of tweaks? If the team ends up in the same kind of spot they are this year, it's not the worst thing in the world. Get one more elite talent in the draft, and then 2026, that summer, you have that great pick plus a lot of cap space, and that's the summer where you say, now we flip the switch.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, and again, this is, as rough as it is on the ice right now, we are starting to enter the fun time. There's starting to be some money free up that they can go spend. I believe they have, is it $8 million this summer, Anthony? And they have about close to 30 the following summer. So that's a lot of spending. Yeah, it's something like that. So, but again, you can get some players with that money. They have to do some management. But do I think that Danny wants to just run this back again? No way. They have season ticket holders that want accountability. I've been to a couple season ticket holder meetings and before the games when we do it. And there's a lot of people asking, about what they think about the future of the team. And I'm very, very proud to tell them that I do believe it's heading in the right direction, no matter how bad it is right now. They're going to have money to spend. They have a cornerstone forward now in Mishkov. They're going to continue to add to it. So I don't think that Danny wants to blow this thing up again and tank for one player. I think they're going to let the process play itself out again. They're going to add some pieces. They're going to continue to develop and let guys progress into their development as NHL players. But that won't be the plan. There's no way that you can, as we said before, there's no way you can just tank by running back a bad team. You have San Jose. You can do that, I'm saying, but that's not what you want to send to your fan base. You want to start showing improvement. They took a little bit of a step back from last year from where they were. We were in a playoff run this time last year, even though the Flyers were in a free fall as well. But I think there's just too many good things going on that they don't want to detract from. And I think that even though, and I think that's where you have to see the forest for the trees. As bad as it is on the ice right now, there is a lot of good things to come. And I think people have to remain patient for the very, very near future.
Ant?
Oh, Bundy's spot on. I mean, what's the next step if you are trying to be bad again? Like, what do you do? Like, who are you getting rid of? Like, what's left? Like, there's nothing left to do.
Travis Konechny before the extension kicks in, but boy, oh boy! Listen, I'm joking. Like, they're not going to do that, nor do I really think they should. But there are going to be people who would say, "Oh, before the no movement kicks in, trade him while he has some value." It's like, well, what's the value? Because it's been a pretty horrendous stretch since mid-January, right? So, I don't think there is anybody on this team that they could trade that wouldn't long-term hurt them. Risto, if they were to trade him, would make them even worse. But then I think that they're at a really weird spot, guys. And maybe this will be the last thing. But, there were some comments that came out in the last few days about how rattled the locker room is or was, and how rattled some guys were with the departures of Farabee and Frost and then Lawton. And you brought up Eric Johnson just as a guy in that locker room that was well respected and especially was kind of, somebody that this organization sort of relied on. With the young defenseman. Some of the comments are a little bit concerning, where it just seems like guys really got in their own heads about those departures and have really struggled with it. if you run this thing back again next year, or you even part with more guys, like I don't know what exactly you have left. Not saying that that's like the way that you should build a team or worry about it, but like if there are guys that had a hard time with three dudes being dealt, 4 dudes being dealt, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not just that though. Russ. Like to me, it's to the point where it's like you still need some guys that are veteran players, right? You still need some. You can't just throw a team of 23 first, second year players out there and say, go get them, boys. Like you can't do that. So you do need to keep some of these guys around. I think that the disappointing player to me, the one that I look at and say, oh, this is going to be a concern is Owen Tippett, because they gave him that contract and he's not really living up to it, right? That's the one I look at and say, man, maybe they made a mistake there. But the reality is you can't just do that. Like, so you have to have some of these guys, so you can't trade them off. There's nothing left to trade off from this team at this point. Risto ultimately will be a guy, but you can't until you have a player ready to come in place of him, which they don't have just yet. So until they have that, you got to hold on to him. But that's the only one in my mind, at this point. And even if you do that, let's say you trade a Risto or you trade a Cam York or even you trade a Travis Konechny. How much longer are you extending how long it's going to be before you're good again? Like you got to start turning it around at some point. And so they've put all their eggs into the basket of doing it, starting that turnaround this summer with all these high draft picks, right? And maybe it's not the greatest draft, but it's not a bad draft. It's not a terrible draft. It's a 6-player draft, and then the next group is all kind of the same group of players, right? So you don't have as much high-end talent in the draft, but you still have NHL caliber in this draft. And so that's what they've tied it to, and they know when their money is freeing up, and that's how they're going to approach it. I think that's what they have to do. They can't continue trying to tank for McKenna. They just can't. It just happens to be that's when that kid comes out, and the reality of it is, even if you tried that, even if you went that route, your still odds of getting that player and winning that lottery are less than what is it?
It's 18.5%.
It's
18.5 is the best you can do.
The best it can be is 18.5% chance. So do you want to waste another season to chase one player and have a less than 1 in 5 chance of getting that player? And then what happens if you don't get him?
Yeah, that's the bigger part. What if you
right? I mean, that's what happens. So I'd rather go the other way. I'd rather go the other way and do it the way that they're going. I know, and let me just say this. Let me just say this to Anthony, because he says they didn't try to tank Ant. They wanted to make the playoffs this year. That's not 100% true. They didn't tank, but if they wanted to make the playoffs this year, Danny Briere would have gone out last season and made changes to this roster going into this season. He made no changes. He brought in no players. Right? He didn't try and do anything. They were like, hey, if we make it, great. If we don't make it, it's okay too. We're okay with where we are. So there was never a thought that we're going to go into the playoffs this year just because they made a run last year. That was not true at all.